back to In the Kitchen with Caitlin. Today I am with my friend Dani Schwartz. She's got a food blog, so we're making something extra fancy today. We're roasting salmon in parchment with a Kalamata tapenade. If your mouth's not already watering, ours is for you. So, you ready to go?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get started. So we're going to start out by making our tapenade. So let's put our salmon and our bed of spinach to the side, and let's whip out our blender. This is going to be, I don't know about you, my all-time favorite appliance.
Very useful in the kitchen, definitely.
I don't know what it is. I just it's not even like I have a fancy blender. It's just a blender. I just love it. It's
great for margaritas.
Right? So we're going to take our olives, olive oil, parsley, salt and pepper, capers, juice of 1 lemon, and 3 cloves of garlic. Dump them in here, okay? While we do that, you know, something you could start pouring too. Sure. So
do you want the juice as well, or just the olives?
Yes, the whole damn thing. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Thing. Get it in there. So there's, I don't know if you've heard, I'm sure you have at this point, but I have this cute little word that I like to think I made up called foodition.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to just go ahead and dump?
Yeah, go ahead and dump. And everybody has one, even if you don't know about it. So I'd like to know, what is your foodition, Danielle?
Well, my foodition is, and it's one I started just a couple of years ago, is what I call Jewish Christmas. So I actually have a Jewish family, and on Christmas Eve every year, I always kind of felt a little lonely and left out. So I decided to use it as an occasion to make a really special meal with my family, do something totally different that I, pour my heart and soul into, and invite some good family and friends over.
Nice. So what do you typically cook?
It's really run the gamut. This past year, which I think was one of my most successful, I did a leg of lamb. Like a whole leg of lamb, and I kind of did Mediterranean style with this great spiced couscous on the side. That one was really fun.
Yeah.
Another really great year, I did 7 fishes actually, although I only did 3. Don't tell.
There are some years where we didn't get all 7.
Yeah.
My dad's gonna kill me for saying that on camera, but there were some years, I'll admit, we only got up to 5. But it happens.
It's a lot of fun, and I actually even have some non-Jews asking if they can get the invite because they hear about how much work and effort I put into these dinners.
Yeah, I mean, damn, leg of lamb. Didn't you? So wow, how long does it take you? Like how big is the biggest crowd, and how long does it take you to do all this prep? Because for someone who's not traditionally accustomed to Christmas, that's like. A lot.
I usually would say it's anywhere between 6 to 10 people, and it's varying family members and really good family friends that get the invite. And it's a lot of effort. I start thinking about the dinner usually about a month and a half in advance.
Oh, yeah.
And I usually am trying to make it as complicated as possible, because that's the point.
Yeah.
So one year I did duck. This was another great year, and I had to source my ducks 3 weeks in advance because I had to make sure that they were going to be at the butcher and that I was going to have everything I needed. And then I cooked for 3 days straight, and I used every part of the duck. I made duck stock, which I then used to make white beans, and I made my homemade, not foie gras, but like a pâté. I made a homemade pâté out of the livers, and I took apart the body and I made duck confit with the legs, and I rendered my own fat, and I did that, and then I took the breasts and I scored them down and did them in a 5-spice and an orange sauce.
So you basically Iron Chef'd duck, but Iron Chef.
But over 3 days,
duck
I Iron Chef battled a duck over 3 days. Yes.
Because that's what they did. And there was Duck Star of all those meals. That sounds amazing, Danielle.
So it was a really fun, and I do a lot of research where I like to pull from some famous chefs. So from that one, I know I went to Charlie Chaudhar, I went to a Jean-Georges cookbook I have, and I like to call all my cookbooks by their first names.
Yeah,
so
you got to.
I went to Thomas, and Thomas told me, one method to make the duck confit, and I went then to Charlie, and Charlie gave me a really good spice blend that I should be using on the duck. And then I went to Julia Child to look into some like à l'orange recipes and get some kind of classic technique from her.
Of course.
So it's really, I like to think of it as a team effort.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. That's amazing. So who's your favorite Do you have a favorite?
You know, it's such a loaded question.
It really is. I know it is.
But I have to say, Thomas Keller, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
His precision and creativity is amazing. As far as favorite star chef, though, I'm actually a really big fan of Wiley Dufresne and Grant Achatz. I love the modernism twist.
I love it. I have to say, though, I do love Thomas a little bit more than Wiley. Just like I saw, Anthony Bourdain did this special of like 5 things everyone should know in the kitchen. Like one thing he taught was to cut an onion, and the other thing was how to make the perfect steak. And he had Thomas Keller teach you how to properly roast a chicken. And I was just, bam, sold. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things where I'm like, yes to all of it.
His technique is impeccable.
It's just one of those things where I was just seeing him like, just to prep that chicken. I was just like, wow. Jacques Pepin is another one that I love.
He's also amazing. I love his I like to watch him. I love his adorable little French voice.
Oh my god.
He makes it seem so easy and approachable.
Yeah. And you know what I love too is little known series that he did on PBS was you know it.
Yes, I do know it.
At Home with Jacques and Julia.
Yes.
Jacques and Julia.
Yes.
And it was Jacques and Julia Childs together. And by there was only 8 episodes and it never came back. And by the 8th episode, he looked like he wanted to strangle her because she kept like stepping on his toes with everything they made. But the things they made together were like unbelievable. Like so I could dork out for days.
Oh, don't even get me started. I actually taught myself how to cook by watching cooking shows. That's really that was my
That's your
school.
foodition, yeah.
That's my foodition.
Seriously, because I always like to say, like, I'm not a trained chef. I learned from watching my dad, and he did go through some apprentice training. Obviously, this is his job. You know, my dad's a caterer. For all intents and purposes, he's actually a director of campus dining and regional director. Wait, I don't want to mess up his title because if I mess up his title, he'll be like, he's a regional director, I believe, at Culinart, which is like does corporate dining. So anyway, I learned from watching my dad. I learned from cooking with my dad. Christmases is where I learned like actual formal technique and not just like heat this up, this goes good with this, which is just I learned from observing. And it's so I said I'm not a formal chef. It's you know, I learned food through tradition. You know, watching my dad and my grandfather make things, and that's like where the foodition idea came up. You know, I learned because it's the family tradition. Like everyone in my dad's family at some point in their lives had a job in food service. So it's just one of those things that you just do. You know, and it's just something me and my dad do together. So it just kind of made sense to make that the big buzz topic. What's your foodition? And I really like your foodition because it's one that you started yourself, which is really, really fun. I like that. That's
It's a good
creative.
time. You'll have to come one year.
Yeah. Or you'll have to come too. Maybe we can marry Jewish Christmas with the Jones family Italian Christmas.
I would love to do a traditional 7 fishes. I've actually never experienced it.
That's Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, our foodition is filet mignon.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah. And with a starter of manicotti. Or manigot, if you were from Staten
Manicotti,
Island. Yeah. No, they mispronounce Italian words and pretend it's how you say them. So, we're here in my parents' backyard, and I am with Martina. And we're going to talk about fooditions. Yay! So, Martina, you are from Italy.
Yes.
Let's tell everyone at home where in Italy you're from.
Rome.
So, I don't know if you know about my made-up word foodition, and it's a food-based tradition. I feel like you might have some in Italy.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. What are some that come to mind?
Pasta.
Pasta. When do you ever eat pasta in Italy?
Every day for lunch. You don't really eat carbs for dinner because they're kind of heavy. But every day, 7 days per week. Yes, we do.
Nice. Now, holidays. Tell me about your favorite food holiday at home in Italy?
For me, okay. So first of all, my favorite holiday is Christmas. And for Christmas, we have, we're Catholic, so we have this tradition that we do not eat meat on Christmas Eve. And at least for my family, Christmas Eve dinner is the biggest dinner. It's the biggest day. It's more important than Christmas Day itself. So we just eat not meat, and especially we eat a lot of fish. And I don't know, that's my favorite holiday. So I think all the food we eat on Christmas Eve is my favorite, which is like spaghetti with seafood. And then we have like either branzino or tuna as an entree. And then we have panettone and pandoro in the end. You know what it is? I don't know how to explain that in English.
Panettone is it's like a cake.
Yeah, yeah,
like
the cake you have for Christmas. Like, I bet you have it in the. I mean, it's not a bet. You have it in the U.S. because I saw it in stores. And so I'm sorry, I cannot really pick one food, but I can pick one day and the whole menu for that day.
Talk more about this menu for people who have never had the pleasure of having an Italian Christmas Eve.
Absolutely. So, if I can start for appetizer, we usually have like fried carciofi, which are artichokes, and then we have fried fiori di zucca. I don't remember. Zucchini flowers.
Oh, yes.
Fried zucchini flowers stuffed with the mozzarella and anchovies. And that's the appetizer. And then we have anchovies themselves with butter spread on bread. It's very simple. That's why I love Italy so much. Like here, when you go to Italian restaurants, everything is so fancy. We're not fancy at all. We take the bread, we take the anchovies, we take the butter, we spread everything on the bread. Anyhow.
Easy peasy.
Great. And then let's see. First entree is pasta, as usually. And usually we have spaghetti with vongole, spaghetti with clams, garlic and olive oil. Again, very easy. And then as entree, as I said before, we usually have branzino with roasted potatoes on the side. And then we have panettone, pandoro, we have ice cream, we have limoncello. You name it, we have it.
Yay!
I think that's about it. And then we play games, and then when midnight comes, we have a little bit more pasta. We usually have spaghetti aglio e olio, which are spaghetti with olive oil, sauteed with garlic. And again, we're simple, we're easy, that's it.
That sounds so simple and easy. just an average Tuesday, right?
Then on Christmas Day, we can eat meat again. And so we have lasagna for lunch. Well, you all know about lasagna. And then as an entree, we have abbacchio. Abbacchio is, what's abbacchio? I don't know, it's beef.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain that. It's like, not beef chops, because you don't have such a thing. I don't know how to explain that. Google it, abbacchio. With roasted potatoes again. And then again, we have pandoro, we have torrone. Torrone is like this chocolate pastry with nuts inside.
Ooh.
You know torrone, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And then the 26th is a holiday as well, so we basically just eat for 3 days in a row.
That sounds...
About it.
Eating nonstop 3 days in a row. Sounds like a foodition all on its own, right? It's like...
I think
it's up there. Yeah. The epitome of explaining a food dish to someone is usually Italians at Christmas.
I'm so glad you asked me.
Now I know. I always reference, fish on Christmas Eve for Italians. But
Yeah.
you spelled it out in case anyone thought I was full of it. Now they know. Well, thank you so much, Martina.
Alrighty, babe.
So once we got all this stuff in the blender, this was a very ceremonious placing of things in the blender. We're going to
Give it a whir.
We're going to give it a whirl. So now that we've made our tapenade, which is going to season our salmon, we're going to take out a cookie sheet, and we have some parchment paper here. And first things first is we're going to line the parchment with spinach. This is gonna make it so there's some protection on the bottom so it doesn't burn or cook up too quickly. All right, and it's also a nice little side dish when you're done.
I love spinach. This
All in
looks
one.
delicious, and
Yeah.
it's going to get that nice salmon flavor into it.
Yup. It's yeah, it'll just be one nice cohesive dish where it all kind of marinates together.
Good.
All right, so we got our salmon. Here's a piece here. And so if you wouldn't mind, oh wait, before we do that, I would like to do a little white wine. Pinot Grigio really works best for this because if you do something too smoky or oaky, there's a lot going on in that tapenade, and it's just Pinot Grigio all the way for this bad boy. All right, and just a quick little drizzle. That's really it. Okay. And yeah, and now let's just pour that. I'll let you do the honors.
All right.
So while we do that,
Do you want me to just sort of pour it on top, or should I spoon it on?
you could just, I just pour it on right out of there.
All
honestly.
right, let's just go for it.
You know, and just make sure it's nice and covered. So now that we've sufficiently dorked out about all our favorite celebrity chefs, I know you're no stranger to talking about food since you have a food blog on the internet.
There we
Why
go.
don't
All right.
you tell us about that?
Sure. So I created a blog. It's called What's in My Pantry. DaniJS.tumblr.com. Check it out.
Yes.
And the reason I started this blog is my mom or my friends would always call me and they'd be like, "Oh, I have to go out to the supermarket because I have nothing to eat in my house, or I want to make this recipe, so I have to go out and buy everything." And I would say, "No, you don't. You probably have everything you need on hand to make a delicious meal right there in your pantry. You're just not thinking about it creatively." So I would, sometimes go to friends' houses and kind of show them where they could be using ingredients. And a lot of times I love to use leftover ingredients from the meal the night before, or use really good pantry staples, things like pasta, rice, canned tomatoes, canned artichokes, beans are all really great things that everybody always has in their pantry.
Always, yeah.
And can really, add a great layer to a meal. And if you just have a couple of fresh herbs on hand and maybe a few spare pieces of vegetables and meat, you can really put together an awesome meal. So that's the concept behind the blog.
Yeah. And when did you start it?
I started about 6 months ago, so it's fairly new. Over the summer, I would get so angry and be like, "You can do something with these great ingredients." And people were always asking me for my recipes, so this is a good way for me to kind of write down when I think of something.
That was great. Awesome. So what's your favorite part about blogging? Because it's very different than just like whipping it up.
It is. I think my favorite part is really taking the time to make my food look good. I would have sort of an eye when I would start, putting things together, even if it was just for me. But it definitely made me think more about how my food is going to be presented. And I think so much of eating is eating with your eyes.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure your food looks good.
Definitely. I love making it pretty.
Yes.
I think that one of my favorite parts of the show is when we take the stills of the final product. I love the garnish, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
Styling. I think maybe in a past life I was a food stylist.
Definitely. I could see that.
Because in past lives there was definitely food stylists. I could see them in ancient Greece.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. At those big banquets.
Yes. The Last Supper definitely had a food stylist. Have you seen the placement of those loaves of bread?
Yes.
I
yes.
mean, come on. So, what are some hijinks that have come up when you were cooking meals for your blog, if any?
It's always an adventure when you think you have an ingredient and then you don't. But that's, again, part of being the MacGyver of what's in my pantry.
Oh, I like that. The MacGyver.
Yes, you have to.
MacGyver.
You have to. I'm going way back with my references now.
Yes.
Kids out there, do you even know what I'm talking about?
We were saying stuff about MacGyver before, but it's something totally non sequitur. So MacGyvering recipes, and is there any specific where you ever what was it your favorite post? What was your favorite thing that just happenstance was able to make?
My favorite one is I had bought these little mini eggplants And I was like, what am I gonna do with these little tiny? I mean, and I bought them because I thought they were so cute, and they were languishing in my vegetable drawer, and I was like, I have to do something with these. So I decided to do a take on eggplant parm, which is one of my favorite dishes.
Oh my God, yeah.
And healthy it up a little bit, you know, kind of not deep fry it.
Oh, yeah, no.
If I can, I will. And they just presented so well. That's what I loved about it. They were so cute on the plate because they're this big, and I topped them with a little, I like grilled, or like pan-seared them, flipped them over, put a little tomato sauce, and then a little bit of tomato sauce on top, and then like each one got like a little slice of like fresh mozzarella on top, and I baked that off, and everybody loved it, and made a big green salad on the side. So I think that was one of my favorite ones that I've done.
Oh my God, eggplant. So were they Japanese eggplants, or were they just smaller eggplants?
They were baby Italian eggplants. They were literally this big. They look like little
Never
golf balls.
seen those. That sounds adorable.
I saw them. I was at a great little outdoor market, and I saw them, and I thought, I have got to get these. These are too much fun.
I'm sorry, I've never met a farmer's market I didn't like. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm a sucker for and I bring my own bag.
Oh, yeah.
How else are you going to carry
You're
your
a pro.
bounty?
You're a pro. You're a pro.
Yeah.
Seriously, Fridays in Union Square, to me, it's dangerous.
Yes.
It's dangerous. Unless I'm filming episodes of my cooking show, I just end up with a fridge full of food. Like, that was why, you know, like, every booth, like I feel like if I walk by a kiosk and I don't buy something from them, they're gonna be offended. Because this man works so hard. Sometimes women, don't get offended, works so hard on his farm all season to work out this produce. And I could go to other grocery stores and get it, but this is from the farm. This is the source.
That brings up a question that I have been debating about these past few weeks. What's your opinion on getting a farm share, like a CSA, versus going yourself to the market?
I have not joined a CSA, but I know people who have. I think it sounds great in theory. I haven't personally tried it. I would be curious to try it because I do think you pay like a membership, and then you get a certain amount, and then you volunteer, and then you can get more.
Right.
So it's a really interesting concept for someone like me who cooks all the time,
right,
or for people who might have like really big families
yeah,
and need a lot. So I feel like if you have a need of that volume of consistent produce in your life, it's ideal. But if you're just like a single person cooking meal to meal, it might be a little much. But then for some people, it might be the inspiration they need to cook for themselves, which is great because I think more people need to cook for themselves. I think a big part of why I wanted to do this show is because I think a lot of my friends who are 20-somethings have the typical bachelor fridge where it's just beers and condiments. And I really don't think that's the healthiest way to go about cooking. You shouldn't start cooking because you have to feed kids. Like, you should cook because it's for you. It's like a thing you could do for yourself. Like, you can paint your nails and do a pedicure for yourself, or blow out your hair, or buy a new shirt. But cooking is something you could do for yourself that you need to do anyway, so why not make it an enjoyable experience that's good for you? So I think that, you know, making approachable recipes that seem easy enough, you know, which is why I love your blog and why I wanted to talk about your blog, because it is like, it's an approachable way to present recipes that, hey, you could do this too. This isn't so hard. This is not rocket science. So to show you it's not rocket science, we're going to do the fancy wrapping of the salmon. Yeah. It's not so fancy, don't worry. So we're gonna pinch it up long ways. All right. And once you do that, you're gonna put your 2 fingers like so. And then with your top finger, push it over. And then you're gonna crease it the first time. Okay? Then you're going to crease it again. And then if you can, get one more good squeeze. Then you're going to do the end where you kind of fold in the corners like a present, and then roll it, like crease it, and roll it up. And then we'll do the other side the same way. Make sure our spinach is tucked in there good. Corners, and roll it up. All right, good.
This is really gonna lock in the flavor.
It's gonna be delicious. It's gonna make sure it's nice and moist. It's gonna cook up really quick. And now you're ready to put it in the oven. So now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show.
I'm so excited to eat the salmon, and I want a little cheers to you.
Oh, chills, chills, chills.
Cheers,
Ooh,
cheers.
love chills.
Let's dig in.
Let's dig in. Let's do it. I'm very excited.
It's so moist. It's like a beautiful texture.
Nice and buttery.
That is delicious.
Thank you.
That was so good.
Yummo. This is fun. It's like
Yummy.
Yeah. Yummy. This is yummy. This is really delicious. It's a buttery texture. The parchment always gives you like that added moisture because it's so hard to like perfectly cook the fish. I have to say, like, it's the biggest letdown in the world when you spend the money on buying fish for it to be dried out and overcooked.
This is
kind of a tragedy.
Just so lovely, and you don't have any of that overly fishy flavor that you can sometimes get when you overdo salmon. It has just a really lovely light flavor, and then the tapenade just balances it out with that little bit of salt, and then the greens underneath are just yummy.
Yay! Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for
Cheers
having
again.
me. Cheers
no
again.
problem. And make sure to check out Danielle's blog, What's in Your Pantry, which is
DaniJS.tumblr.com.
Check her out. It is a great blog whenever you are looking to make dinner and don't want to make a run to the supermarket. And thank you guys, as always, for watching. And make sure you come back next time with your empty stomach. Thanks. Bye.